Hawthorne Place Apartments and Townhomes, located in Northeast Independence, Missouri, was built in the 1970s. Preservation of Affordable Housing, POA, has owned and managed Hawthorne since purchasing it in 2002. But in 2016, despite much hard work by many, the 745-unit affordable housing community was struggling. The eviction rate was high. Evictions and other negative move-outs constituted more than half of all turnovers. And although Hawthorne represented only 8% of POA's overall portfolio in 2016, 47% of all negative move-outs from a POA property that year were from Hawthorne. At the end of 2016, POA recognized that a new approach was needed. They reached out to CSL and a partnership was created.
Hi, my name is Keandra Robinson. I reside in Hawthorne Place Apartments. I've been there for 6+ years and I have 2 beautiful kids, a 6-year-old son and a beautiful 9-year-old daughter. When I first moved in Hawthorne, I didn't have no car and I was a stay-at-home mom and I was far away from my family.
My name is Beth Demansky. I lived in Hawthorne for 10 years. I've got 3 kids. The youngest just turned 16, one will be 19, and then the next one will be 21 this year. What brought me to Hawthorne? Basically, I was a single mom, raising 3 kids. Couldn't afford to live on my own, couldn't pay rent on my own, and Hawthorne is income-based. So it was easy for us to live there, pay the bills, and step up from there.
In 2022, CSL turns 106 years old. And so, of course, for decades, we have been supporting families that live at Hawthorne Place Apartments, but we hadn't really had a formal partnership with Hawthorne Place Apartments or POA, the Preservation of Affordable Housing, who owns and operates the property. So there had been a lot of great work and a lot of great case management for families, but we hadn't taken the relationship deeper. And so this was a really exciting opportunity.
When Community Services League, CSL, first came to Hawthorne in early 2017, 1,000 of the 2,500 individuals were 18 years old or younger. CSL knows that children need to be in the same school for at least 2 years to drastically increase their academic success. This realization transitioned CSL to implement the Family Stability Program at Hawthorne.
It was clear with more than 745 families that live at Hawthorne Place Apartments. On average, a family was moving out of Hawthorne Place every single day of the year. And you can just immediately get a sense of what does that do to the community? Constantly seeing moving trucks in and out, families maybe sometimes eager to move on. We know that if a family is going to be happy and healthy and whole, they need to feel like they have ownership of the community in which they belong, a place where they can feel like they can put down roots. And so we knew that there was really a ripe opportunity for us to partner with POA as the property management company, but also really investing with the people who call Hawthorne home to really work to how do we create this neighborhood where there's a lot of transition going on a daily basis and make it become a place that people want to stay, want to invest, and want to put roots down.
As CSL began using a community development approach to address poverty, they began reaching out to many community partners and resources. Jackson County Combat, one of CSL's funders, brought numerous community partners together around one table in the same room to enhance working together.
When we came to Hawthorne, I remember looking at the area, and this is the first time in years that Combat actually just got out of the office, went to the stakeholders being the community, the school district, the police who police that area. We wanted to hear from the community, wanted to know what the issues were, so we could again do this in more in a comprehensive, coordinated effort, bringing all our resources that we could in there.
Through an organizational lens, CSL leadership, funders, and partners, including POA, began looking at a larger vision for long-term housing and family sustainability for those living at Hawthorne Place Apartments. CSL moved from transactional relationships to a transformational relationship approach. CSL took the long view of change for families and communities, knowing that change and growth take time.
As the owner of Hawthorne Place Apartments, POA is really invested in the long term. And so what that means for us is not just kind of the day-to-day work of collecting rent and paying bills and fixing maintenance issues here and there. We really want to make sure that Hawthorne remains a physically healthy property for families for years to come, because we want to make sure that Hawthorne remains in good condition and is physically and financially healthy for years to come. So we're really excited to have this multi-million-dollar rehab project because it's allowing us to make improvements to the interior of the homes at Hawthorne, to make really important investments in building systems and in infrastructure and all those kind of unsexy things that we need to keep our housing safe and healthy and decent for years to come.
Hawthorne will be unique because it provides more than affordable housing. We have a multitude of programs for the individuals. So we not only provide the affordable housing, we provide a Boys and Girls Club that is on site at the community. We provide an agency that supplies services to the communities. For instance, we have a daycare that is also a community. We have Community of Christ Church that provides services to the families for different programs.
When Community Services League approached me to lead the team at Hawthorne, they knew I have a lot of experience in community development and helping community come together around different issues. And so I was coming in with the mindset of, how are we going to fully wrap around families and help them up and out of poverty? And one of the most important things we knew we needed to do was build trust. And we did that through consistency. We did the same thing. We were always present. We followed up. We did what we said we were going to do. And if we didn't know the answer, we told that. But we knew that trust was going to be a critical part of how we would be successful and what we could make happen as we had the opportunity to walk alongside our neighbors. And you might even notice that I'm not even calling them clients or residents. I'm calling them neighbors because this is their neighborhood. This is their home. I go to work in their neighborhood, but I go home somewhere else. This is their home. This is where they live. And so it needs to be totally owned, and they need to feel like they belong in that space.
Honestly, I can say from the day I walked into that office until the day I left, it didn't matter what day or what time, somebody from CSL was always there to help. And I will never forget the day. I have to mention this. The first day I started driving the school bus, and I told you I had one stop right there at the top. You met me up there with a bottle of juice to congratulate me on getting the job. And I will never forget that day.
I went to the backpack giveaway in 2018, which I met Barbie, and she had a table set up for something called the Grooming Project. And I got her number and she got my information as well. And I started to go to the program in 2018. And I also met Brianna in 2018 at the backpack giveaway.
CSL came to Hawthorne largely educated about trauma-informed care and shared the idea with POA. Brain science studies show that long-term poverty influences the brain and rewires it towards a deficit mindset in the nervous system. The body is in fight, flight, or freeze at all times. In order to help calm the brain and bring the reasoning brain, the place of thought, planning, and decision-making, CSL created a safe environment for our neighbors. Staff began giving neighbors choice around lighting in a room, where they wanted to sit, offering language access, focusing on strengths, and working towards equity and cultural competencies. POA began incorporating trauma-informed principles into their housing. Both POA and CSL spend time thinking about the words we use, how to help build support systems, and how to help with mental health supports to decrease the flame in the nervous system.
So one of the great things about working together in this partnership at Hawthorne is that we're constantly learning from each other and from our work together. And we're learning about new ways to really help families be successful. And so shortly after we started working together, we attended some trainings on a practice called trauma-informed care. We were learning about how in healthcare and in education, teachers and doctors and other people who work in these places were recognizing that the experiences that we have as people can impact our physical health, can impact how we're able to focus in school. And that's because when we have really stressful, overwhelming, or traumatic experiences, they can have a lasting impact on our bodies and our brains and our behaviors. And so together, POA and CSL, we're sort of learning more about the impact of trauma and of trauma-informed care and just how pervasive trauma really is, that most of us have gone through an incredibly stressful, overwhelming, or traumatic experience.
We at Community Services League know that poverty is not a one-issue thing. It's not just because there's a lack of money coming in the door. It's so much more than that. It's not having great access to healthcare. It's not having great access to transportation. It's so many things. There's this thing called the benefit cliff, and that is you make 25 cents over the amount, you lose all your food stamps, you lose all your childcare, you lose every benefit just because of 25 cents an hour. That 25 cents an hour income increase is not worth what it's going to do to your family. Everyone deserves and wants good health care for their kids. They want childcare access. They want food. They don't want just a box of food every month. They want more than that. But unfortunately, the system isn't set up for a smooth transition on up. And another part of it is we don't understand the trauma that other people have been through. Every single person has been through loss. Every single person has been through something that wasn't the way it was supposed to be, wasn't the way it should have been. And that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. But the truth is that being in poverty is trauma itself. And one of the things I'm so excited about with CSL is we understand that it's not just the food anymore. Food is important. It has a role. Paying bills has a role, but so does wrapping around a person and a family and a community so that they truly know and believe that they are loved, they are valued, they are accepted just the way they were and are, and that I will see them for what they don't do yet. Because I believe in the power of not yet. I may not have it yet, but together we will get there. I believe in you for you before you get there. And I think that's one of the things that we are so excited to untell about the story of poverty. We're trying to change the narrative that it's not just what people have always said it is. It's so much deeper than that.
I actually had a job working remote for a friend of mine who was in New York. I had been an admin for like 30 something years. So the type of work I was doing from her was ordering merchandise, doing it from home. I didn't make a lot of money, but it was enough to get us where we needed to be. And eventually that business closed and I ended up being a school bus driver for the Fort Osage district, which was fun. I loved doing it, but it also didn't pay enough because you don't get paid all year round. So September, this past September, I moved on to driving a garbage truck. Steady work, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And it's awesome. I love it.
One of the reasons that POA originally brought us in was to run their FSS program. That's the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. It's a HUD program that has been around for quite some time, but we were able to come in and manage the program and coach the neighbors through it. So let me give you an example of what the FSS program means. If someone comes into Hawthorne and they have no income, they're called a zero renter. We're working to help them get employed. Every time they work, their rent goes up. They still need to pay that rent, but now the rent will go into an escrow where they are saving money. And as they work with a coach, they can set goals. Is their goal home ownership? Is it employment? Is it debt removal? Is it something else? Is it transportation? And in the process, we started the program with POA in the summer of 2017. We quickly became one of the largest, if not the largest in the nation. And we have almost $500,000 in escrow right now for neighbors. But I think one of the coolest parts is that we have helped 20 families move into home ownership since 2017. And at the same time, about 50% of the people who are enrolled in FSS are escrowing, which shows that people do want to work and they want to develop their own assets. And we're able to help them along the way with that.
It took me a year to join the FSS program. But what made me trust the CSL and their staff was Brianna, because I love her energy and she's outgoing and she's fantastic. The FSS program has helped me build my credit, car repairs, and pay off stuff on my credit, which I really don't want to touch the money because I want to save the money to buy a house one day.
I was in the FSS program for, I think it was 3 years from the time I started driving the bus until we moved. It was accumulating faster than I thought it would be because I don't know, like I knew what my rent was and I knew what my pay was, but I don't know how they worked out what went into the account. And every month Jeff would send me a statement. This is how much you have. This is how much you have. So I thought that was awesome. Every time I said, oh, wow, we got all this. This will come in handy one day. And I had to set goals. And I remember I set a vehicle and a house. And we still have the vehicle. And now we have the house. So it worked out awesome. And I tell everybody about it. Everybody that asks, like, well, where'd you get the money from? I explain where it came from.
The advice what I would give anybody moving forward in their journey is tell them to hold on, to push, stay strong, and you can do anything that you can put your mind to.
Now that we have the house, it's so funny because I said to my oldest son the other night when we were pulling into the driveway, I said, you know where I'm going? And he said, where? I said, I'm pulling into the driveway of my own house. This is my house. And I do that. I'll walk through the house and I'll say to my daughter, you know where I'm standing? Where? I'm standing in my own bedroom in my own house.
The work is not done yet.